Hello, my fellow movie fans, and welcome to another episode of A Feast of Films Theatre with your hosts, Matthew Ayalew and Ethan R. Hill. How's that? That was good?
Yeah. Classic. Classic.
Hello, my fellow movie fans, and welcome to another episode of A Feast of Films. My name is Ethan R. Hill, and with me, as always, is...
Jesse Prosser.
He's not here this time. Thank goodness.
Oh, shit, man. Oh, that's right. It's Matt.
Aren't you glad we got rid of that stinky boy?
Prosser? No, I miss him.
Stinky.
I miss him so much.
It's because you're not in the same room as him. You don't have to.
I miss him so much. I had to I want to say focus him through my body, but that's not right.
Matt,
I can't remember. I can't think of the word though. Because I'm on a podcast. You can never think of when you're on podcasts or doing stuff and you're like, I'm thinking of a word, but you can never remember it. Like any other moment in time, you would remember it.
No, I don't have that problem.
Oh, man. That's me all the time. I'm like, shit, there was a word I was going to use. Can't remember what the hell that was.
Nope, I have no problem performing. I'm pretty good at it.
It's not what she said.
You don't know. You haven't taken a survey.
just, in fact, actually, just act like,
oh no.
Oh,
Matt, this
is an interesting start.
Is that a Jesse Prosser body pillow behind you?
No.
You miss him that much?
No. Shut up, Ethan.
You cuddle up to your wife at night and you're like, can you talk to me in this voice?
Oh, can you kind of talk like this?
Can you put on this accent for me, please? Thank you. That's how much you've grown attached to Prosser.
Oh, man. I'm just like, I miss Prosser. I love that guy. Where is he?
He's being a responsible person having a job, I guess.
Not doing podcasts? Ridiculous. That's what we all do in 2021. We all make podcasts, okay?
I saw a TikTok where they called us out. They're like white guys in their 30s either get really into IPAs. There was a second one, or
start a podcast. Yeah, and
I'm
I've seen that many times. Yeah.
It was like 6 months into, and I'm like, oh no, oh,
just like, God damn it.
It's not like I started this because I thought people need to hear what I have to say. I'm not one of those guys. I'm just like, oh, I want to talk to Matt, and if people want to listen, that's great. Hey guys, come listen to our stuff.
I just sometimes, listen, doing a podcast is fantastic because there's a lot of stuff that we hold inside, so sometimes it's therapeutic, and there's not always the people around that share your passion. That's the problem. With your passion about movies or games or whatever, sometimes you talk to people and they're like, okay, whatever. You can tell they're not excited, right? So you get in front of a microphone, in front of nobody, and just yell out into the universe. You just excited. Exactly. You yell out into the universe is very therapeutic.
We just think that there's a bunch of people just sitting there listening to us, hands under their chin, just like story time when you were a kid. Just like, tell us more, Matt and Ethan. It's like, no, it's not like that at all.
Everyone's like, why are these guys still talking right now? Shouldn't they be introing into their podcast? We're just like... Nope, we're way off the deep end today already. 10 seconds in.
Who cares?
10 seconds in.
I don't have, Matt, I don't have that problem though, because I live with Prosser. So what do you think we do in our free time that is not recording this or anything like that? We normally talk about movies and get really excited.
Oh, well, there you go. I was gonna say cuddle, but yeah, that also probably makes sense. But,
no, he doesn't let me. I try.
Not a cuddler,
no.
Eh?
No, well, I mean, not with me at least. We've been together for 10 years, and he still just won't warm up to me.
And that's what he said.
No, we've been coming up September. It is 10 years of living with him.
That's crazy.
I know. How many people do you know who have roommates for that long?
Married people?
That's basically it.
Yeah, that's true.
People who are married or you're dating, right? And it's like, I've tried telling him, hey man, I guess this means we're a couple. And he's like, no, we're not.
It's like, Jesus Christ, Ethan. Are you guys common law?
Right.
Common law. You don't get half my shit, Ethan.
I have claimed if he dies, I get his stuff because, who's gonna know?
Like,
Think I'm
I'm
gonna
sure
tell
he has
people?
other family somewhere. Yeah,
I'm not gonna tell people.
he's just gonna disappear. Oh yeah, Prosper's doing fine. You
Oh,
like Weekend at Bernie's
him.
3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do the voice, so phone calls are covered.
There's a movie link for you guys. Anyway,
Oh, I mean, I've seen him. The way he falls asleep, it's basically Weekend at Bernie's. Like, I actually have like a video of me,
the
like
way he falls
him
asleep.
passing out so hard, and like me walking into his room and poking him, like actively poking him for 5 minutes, and him not waking up. And it's great because like when we first started like living
Sounds
together
like
and
me.
stuff
I
like
could
that,
sleep through a freaking like earthquake, man. I'd be like, "What happened? Where's the house?" I guess that's a tornado, but whatever.
I'm weird because I can sleep really well, but I also wake up really easily. And I can sleep anywhere. I just when I'm sleeping in a bed though, I don't have a good sleep. It's weird. I get more rest sleeping in a chair or something like that, but then I wake up sore.
Yeah, because you're getting old, man.
I can't. No, this is from my entire life. Like people have seen
Oh
me fall.
yeah, that's right.
There's actually like pictures of me passed out in the middle of a kitchen floor behind like family members, just because I'd be playing and then I just fall over
Yeah,
and just pass out. And like, oh, with Prosser, he used to always be like, I need to get a katana because I'll protect the house if anyone breaks in. It's like, first off, that's illegal. If someone breaks in, you can't use a katana on them.
which is bullshit. Number one, you're breaking into my house, man. Like, I'm sorry if you break in my house and my kids are here and my wife is here. And
Yeah,
it's
but
just me and you, you're dead, and I will use whatever it takes because you ain't getting past me. I die or you leave. That's your options. Like, I'm not messing around, man. I'm not taking a second chance.
Regardless, it's not legal. Either way,
I'm not
it's
gonna
not
be like,
legal.
I'm gonna slap you with a glove and challenge you to a duel while you stab me, and then I'm dead. Then what good am I? No,
I don't know if duels are legal
No.
either, but
probably not.
also again, I've proven to
Katanas
him
should
time
be
and time
legal.
again.
We need to protest this, everyone. Katanas should be legal in house defense. You would have much fewer break-ins. Listen, man, Texas is just giving handguns to anybody. You don't have to have licensing. You don't have to have training. You don't have to have anything, okay? You can just get a handgun. So why can't we use katanas? That seems
Because we're
fair.
Canada, so they just give us beavers or maple syrup.
You can set maple syrup booby traps. Like, oh, whoopee.
What is this, Home Alone? Oh no, the syrup! I can't move anymore. There's just so much
Oh,
maple.
man. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You get the one burglar who's like allergic to maple syrup, and you kill him.
Just kills him like, oops, shit.
Oh no, my obscure allergy. Ah.
Like, my bad.
But yeah, no, he was very convinced that he would be our protector, but like I've proven to him several times now, it's like, dude, you will not be the one to protect us because you would not hear anyone come into the house. If I can walk into his room playing videos on my phone, like making noise, walk into his room and he doesn't wake up. So I can then stop that and poke him, and that doesn't wake him up. I can shake him and that doesn't wake him up.
Like, yeah, you're already dead, dude. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
Game over.
100%.
Just the worst guard dog. Like, useless.
Yeah, it's just how he sleeps, and that's fine. I don't see a super huge problem with it as long as again he's not being the one being like, I will protect us. It's like maybe get an actual dog if you're gonna be like that.
Man, you probably shouldn't like hang out with him like during a zombie apocalypse or whatever. Or at least
No,
don't put him on night watch. It'd be like,
No, actually, my strategy. This has been a long running joke since I've met him. Is like if zombie apocalypse happens, I'm killing him. Like not even like when he turns. Like just
you're
like,
just gonna kill him.
just mercy kill straight up because he's either gonna get himself killed or get me killed. And I'm just like, no, I'm not. And that all started from like a
so if he just
toilet
ends up
paper
dead
thing.
one day, you'll just be like, I thought it was the zombie apocalypse, guys. I'm sorry. I just did what I had to do.
I'll wait until there's like actual proof of zombie apocalypse. Like I won't just kill him and like hope for the best that it's like, well, I thought the world was ending. Like I'll
sorry,
wait
it was
till
just
we
a raccoon
know.
outside. My bad. My bad.
But like it all started because
That's my bad.
we were talking about toilet paper usage. And like he was complaining because like the brand I bought wasn't nice enough. And I'm like, what are you gonna do in the event of an apocalypse? What are you gonna do? He's like, well, I'll find toilet paper and I'll stock up on it. And it's like, so COVID has proven this is all pre the toilet paper pandemic, but
Right.
like
COVID has proven that's not going to work.
it's not gonna work at all. So like, so what are you gonna do? Like, you're caught in the woods. You gonna use leaves? And oh no, I don't want to do that. And it's like, dude, what do you think's gonna happen? This is why I'm killing you first. Like,
resort to sticks, dude. Resort to
It, like,
sticks. Or he'd
it's
be like,
nothing-
I'm not pooping.
exactly, he'd hold it in. And like, at the end of the day,
That would kill him
It's-
one way or the other, too.
it's nothing personal. It's just survival, and it's just taking care of me and the people around me.
It's just business.
Exactly. I'm not sitting here going like, yes, I want to kill this man because he's my best friend and I love him. But when it comes down to surviving, yeah. And the thing is, if I leave him alive, he'll come back for revenge. Like, that's happened time and time again. We've seen it before. So like, I can't just like leave him on the side of the road and be like, good luck, buddy. Have a good luck surviving. Because then, like, either he's
He
going to
will
somehow
survive and he'll come back to kill you.
yeah, he'll Danny McBride me from like,
Yeah.
this is the end,
Yeah.
or he'll turn into a zombie and I'll get my comeuppance in the third act because that's also what happens.
That also happens, too, yeah.
I know, there's only one surefire way. Like the only other problem though is like then his family or other friends might come for me too. Like there's like it's really tricky. It's really tricky in this fictional scenario.
Have you, well, I guess you haven't played The Last of Us Part 2, but like,
or part 1?
yeah, or Part 1, but like that's one of the main themes in Part 2 is the cycle of violence and revenge that happens. It's one of the themes, and it's kind of pretty much like that, yeah. Just
Where
never
will it
ending
end?
cycle, man. Never ending cycle. Anyway,
How do you spell gonorrhea?
just why?
So I'm texting it to Prosser.
Why?
That
Just
was pretty close. Gonorrhea. Gonorrhea. Okay. Gon. So anyway, speaking of awkward segues into 2004, Matt, did you know that Dawn of the Dead remake by Zack Snyder came out in 2004?
I did know that. I did see it.
Did you also know it's not on my list of top films of that year?
I didn't know that, but it's also not on my list, so
I'm glad we don't have to talk about that train wreck.
I am also glad because I never saw it, so it didn't.
As far as
I didn't do
zombie
that.
movies go, it's a fun zombie movie, I guess, but it's just like it's one that if I can pick any other zombie movie to watch,
It's not that one.
yeah, like I'll watch pretty much any other one.
Yeah.
There's like a select few that I would watch above that, but yeah, 2004 2004, Matt. How did you find the year?
2004. 2004 was interesting. Sometimes surprising. Surprising in the fact that like how old some of these movies actually are. It was like, good lord. Was it really into like are these movies that old? What in the Sam Hill? That was part of it. The other part of it was I was 13 when these came out, so a lot of the movies it's like didn't see so many of these movies. I just started picking movies for the first half of the year that I knew of and kind of like had seen at some point because it's like
Yeah.
I don't like they're not my favorite movies ever, but like I've seen them like because I thought I would just run out of movies by the time I got to the end. Like, did I watch anything in 2004? Halfway through the year, all the movies started showing up. I was like, oh, okay, I love this one. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
See, for me, it was the opposite, where like most of these movies are ones that I grew up watching all the time, and then I kind of stopped watching them. Or there's ones that I found later,
Yeah.
but like
I got a couple that are like my favorite easily in this group, and the rest are kind of like I've seen that movie. So,
do you want to do something different this time and just quickly run through our lists and then start talking about specific ones, so we see how much parallel there is as opposed to the usual us going back and forth, or what? How do you want to handle the years?
well, do you
this
want to
time,
do it
Matt?
like last time? That was okay. Like kind of go one back and forth for like I don't know 2 movies or 3 movies or something, and then just like break down the rest of our list quick. And that way, if we have similarities, we can just talk about it while we're talking about it.
Yeah, because I have like 17 or 18 or 19.
Yeah, I do
movies on my
not
list.
have that many.
I got a lot, but like again, man, like a lot of this stuff is stuff I watched growing up, and then some that I found out as I got older. Too.
I have
but, like,
one worst movie. It's like, God, that was terrible.
Really, I don't have any worst movies. I mean, I at this point I've just been leaving the worst movies off because it's like,
I always put
I
in
don't need
like
to remember
one.
that
If there's
negativity.
one that's like significantly like I remember like that was terrible, I will put it in. Just the one though. I won't ever do more than one. I always like to have one that's like this was literally the worst movie that year that
but
I
it
saw.
could be, but it could be the best for someone else. I'm curious. Okay, let's start with that. Actually, what's your worst movie? I want to know.
Freaking Catwoman, man.
Oh, I have actually never seen Catwoman.
It was not good, dude. It was like, okay, Halle Berry's a babe, but that movie was not good.
Look,
like
13-year-old me wanted to watch it because Halle Berry looked amazing.
yes.
But that was not.
There's a
enough
couple
reason for
movies
me
on
to,
this
like,
list that I was like, I'm watching that because look at chicks, nice. Like when you're 13, like you don't really care too much about plot. But even at that, I was like, this movie's terrible. And
oh my goodness, you can see her elbow. That's exciting.
Like,
Literally,
and it
that's
also-
what it's like for a 13-year-old boy.
Oh man, terrible. Terrible, man. Hormones growing up and that kind of stuff. Terrible. You just have no sense of any common sense at all. Like it's just ridiculous. Just out the window.
I saw her midriff.
But
That is so new and exciting.
But it also reminded me one of the things that was happening during this like E3 weekend that like because there was nothing happening at E3 minus like Xbox. So there was like this big lull and Twitter started having this conversation because WB like so the people who make like that Harley Quinn animated series want to put out a scene where Batman's eating out Catwoman. Right? Did you hear about that? And they're like,
actually,
heroes don't do that. So that scene never got canned. Like, it got cut or whatever, supposedly. But, like, Twitter, like, all weekend, like, in the middle of this big gaming festival, everyone's talking about heroes do that. Everyone's giving their, like, opinion. It was so funny. So that kind of reminded me of that. I'm like, man, I'm putting that in there.
I found out because, like, my
Heroes
friend
don't
texted,
do that. Appreciate your ladies, man.
My friend texted me asking me about it and didn't give any context, so I thought he was just like randomly making
Does
this up,
Batman,
because that's
yeah.
well, that's normally that's what we do. Like me and this guy, we normally talk about like random stuff, like things like that just comes up. We spent me, him, Prosser, and another roommate spent an entire night coming up with different acronyms for RCMP.
Yeah.
Like the robot Canadian Mounted Police. Like we'd go through and replace one word and then describe what exactly that was.
Oh, boy.
Like, that's the kind of random stuff we do. And so when he texted me this, I just thought it was like because he asked me, he's like, we were discussing this, like, would Batman do this? And I'm like, well, because it depends. It depends if it's Batman or Bruce Wayne or the guy in the middle, right? Because like, would Batman do that? Would selfish billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne do that? Or
That is way
like,
too complicated of a question. The answer should just be yes. Look after your ladies, man.
Oh, it was a whole thing. There was a whole discussion.
It was funny.
it was
I thought it
hilarious.
was like the funniest shit. In the middle of this big gaming conference that there was so little going on that everyone's like, nah, we just gotta stop and talk about this right now. Like it was a public service announcement on Twitter. It was hilarious.
But that's also not the first time DC has pulled stuff like this. I found this out recently.
Yeah, no, they
Apparently,
always do shit like that.
Neil Gaiman, when he was writing The Sandman, I think it was, he wanted to have a masturbation scene in there. And DC told him, the head of DC said, no, masturbation does not exist in the DC universe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's apparently
those
canon.
13-year-olds must be really bored.
Why do you think everyone's turning to crime fighting?
That's true. That's why everyone's
saw-
on the street.
I saw a video where a guy was like, no wonder Batman's so angry all the time.
That's pretty damn funny. That's
But like
hilarious,
that's
man.
apparently that's how they are. They're like, nope, that stuff doesn't exist in DC.
But then there's
And
that one animated series where like Batman bangs Batgirl, and it's like, but like in a
Oh no,
really,
that's the thing.
really
Normal-
awkward way. Like it was just like I'm like that seemed uncomfortable.
But that's the thing. Sex is fine. Straight up sex is fine. It's as soon as you start going away from just like
Your basic stuff,
it's missionary. That's it.
the very basics.
You know that the scene of
That's so funny.
22 Jump Street where like Jonah
Batman
Hill is
must be a pretty
describing
boring
it.
lover. That's all I gotta say.
Do you know the there's that 22 Jump Street scene where it's like, you've seen 22 Jump Street, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like he's describing, Jonah Hill's describing what he was doing to Ice Cube's daughter without telling that it's his daughter. It's like,
It's
we're
his daughter,
talking
yeah.
missionary. And we're talking missionary. We're talking
That's
me
one
on
of the
top and her on the bottom.
That's one of the funniest moments in that film when
Dude.
he realizes it's like Ice Cube.
Oh,
He
snap!
realizes
You're-
what's going on. Yeah, yeah. Like
Dude.
that's one of the funniest scenes in that film. Easy.
I stand by, and I need to rewatch them. I think 21 and 22 Jump Street are super underrated for comedies.
Yeah, probably.
I
I
like how
haven't
we
seen them for a long time, but yeah.
they're great. And I also appreciate that we were talking about how terrible Catwoman is as a movie, and we've just completely derailed to talk about how awesome all these other things are, or how weird DC is.
Yeah.
So, do we want to move on from how terrible Catwoman is? It's so
Probably.
bad we
See,
don't.
it was
It's so bad we
got
don't want to talk
distracted.
about it.
We got distracted by whether
By how
Batman
good other things are.
does things to Catwoman. Should be
How
you
good
generous
of a
lover.
how
man.
good of a lover Batman should be.
Apparently, according to DC, lousy.
Although apparently, I think I heard something like that was false. I don't know. I'd need to look into it more. Either way, it was still a hilarious moment for the internet,
Yeah, it was pretty great.
and therefore a hilarious day for the rest of the world.
Funny.
So okay, let's go on the exact opposite, Matt. What would be your top pick for 2004?
Easy, man. Easy. Freaking dodgeball.
Really?
Dude, I freaking love
Like it's on my
Dodgeball.
list too. Like I love dodgeball,
no,
but like
I loved it. Like if it is on TV, if I see it, I think it was on Netflix for a while. It still might be there. I don't know. But like as soon as I see it, I'm instantly clicking it, man. Like I laughed so hard at that movie that I'm like, this is just my favorite film. Like overall,
oh, it's
so
such
funny.
a good film.
Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller, freaking Patches O'Houlihan there, man, was like so funny. Alan Tudyk as the pirate guy,
Pirate Steve.
Pirate Pete. Arr.
Steve, not Pete. Steve.
No, I said Steve, or I tried to say Steve.
I heard Pete.
Oh, no. Listen, this is
Like,
the second podcast.
on a side note, man.
I was gonna say retorting today. See, I can't. I'm getting to the point where I'm becoming like just not able to
Your
speak.
mouth is getting numb.
My mouth is like, man,
You're getting numb
it's
tongue.
it's trying to get away. It's like we
tongue.
done here, man. We out of here.
Do you remember
I love that movie so much.
you remember like the reason like that movie exists is because of the height of popularity that Dodgeball was at around 2004?
No, I don't remember any of that.
Dude,
at all.
like it was actually like there was a legitimate like extreme sports competition of dodgeball. It was
That's
like
pretty
I
awesome.
think it was on Spike or something like that, and like that was like dodgeball was huge around 2000, I think 3 to 2006. It was absolutely huge to a point where even like the high school I went to for the like they had annual dodgeball tournaments too, like extreme dodgeball. Like it was
nice.
insane. Like and it was on like it was televised. Dodgeball was televised, and that's why the movie like
really
happened,
just
because-
dug into that.
yeah, because it's like, oh yeah, like extreme dodgeball. All right, let's do that. And it, man, I always forget about how crazy and how weird the like 90s and 2000s
Early
were.
2000s, like come on,
Dude,
dude.
everything was just extreme.
Come on,
Everything was
dude.
like,
extreme frisbee, like friggin' extreme house painting. Get your ass out there, paint that house. I'm like, okay.
do you have depression? Wow, try our medication. It'll make you feel slightly better.
Extreme depression medication.
Oh yeah, like that was every commercial out
Yeah,
there.
that was a lot of time. There's that. What was that like? Power thirst. You remember those ones on the internet that they made, and they were like the funniest commercials. Power first will make you run as fast as Kenyans. You'll be able to run as fast as 1,000,000 Kenyans. It was, I don't know, something like that.
What?
I'm doing a terrible job.
I have no idea, man.
Because I have like these little flashes of memory, but like not a full memory of it.
I could honestly though. That sounds like an early. The thing is, that sounds like an early 2000s commercial.
It wasn't a
Like
real
it's
commercial. Like it was like a spoof thing. But they're like,
it sounds like a
but
parody of an
that's what it
early.
like. That's what it was. Yeah, yeah, exactly, man. But
No man,
honestly,
like
though, like Dodgeball was so funny because you had obviously great performers and like Vince Vaughn
Ben
and Ben
Stiller was
Stiller
great.
going head to head. Ben Stiller was so funny. Like sometimes Ben Stiller's like hit or miss for me, but when he's playing those characters that are just so ridiculous, I absolutely love him because he always goes full out. He always nails it. It was just absolutely great. And then you have like the whole not only like the sports aspect of it, which was fun, and them doing the training montages, but that whole underdog story as well of them just trying to save their crappy old gym. You know, Justin Long is in that one too. Like, there's just so many like great performers who bring different things to that film, and it is so much fun and one of my most beloved films that I will press play on immediately if I see it. Zero questions asked. 2004 favorite film, easy Dodgeball, easy man. Easy.
I can't argue too much. Again, it is one of my top films. Like I do really enjoy that one. This year was tricky for me because there were so many films that like as a kid, as I bought the DVDs, I would watch on repeat over and over again. And actually, Dodgeball was one of them because I think I got that when I was about 15 or 16, and I would just watch it on repeat. Like most of the movies on my list are the movies that I would do that and just consistently
Oh,
watch. 'Cause that's all I.
the nerdy dad guy with the pissed off like mail order bride lady. That was hilarious.
Was that Stephen Root?
I can't remember. I don't remember who is. Yeah, I don't know who he was.
Oh, dude, the cast was hilarious. That's all
Like
I
the
know.
cast
It had
was
really
money,
good chemistry.
Man. Money. Anyway, sorry. Keep going.
No, it was just man, it was hard. It was a hard pick for me this year, and I thought so when I was looking at it, I quickly Googled it and stuff. I looked at it, and I'm like, in my brain before I Googled it, I'm like, it's Shrek 2. Shrek 2 is my top pick. It's got to be Shrek 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then I Googled it, and for sure enough, Shrek 2 was the highest grossing movie of 2004.
Yeah, easy.
And I'm like, yes, that's it, 100%. And then I scrolled through the list, and I'm like, yeah, it's Shrek 2. And then I got to The Incredibles and immediately pushed Shrek 2 aside.
You're just like, never mind.
Like, Shrek 2 is
See
up
you
there.
later, donkey. See you, donkey.
The reason why I can pick Incredibles over Shrek 2, over Spider-Man 2, over the surprising amount of sequels that happened in 2004, is because The Incredibles was a good standalone film.
Yeah.
And it was a good enough standalone film they didn't make a sequel until, like, I don't know, like 10 plus years later.
2 years ago?
15 years later?
When was that one? Yeah.
I want to say 2018. Or
Could have been, yeah. Good handful of
18 or
years
19.
later. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, but it's such a good movie. It is one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. It's one of my favorite animated movies of all time. Like, it just is such a good movie. And it's not one that I watch on repeat over and over again, but I watch it at least once a year. Like, it is one of those that, like, I love that movie. It's so fun. It's hilarious. Got lots of heart. It's typical Pixar. Like, there's not much you can say about it because it's The Incredibles. Like,
dude, once Pixar shows up in a conversation, it's like, what are you gonna say, right? Like, what are you really gonna say? They're always bringing the heart. They're always bringing the tears. They always focus on story and character first, right? Like, and it just because it like, and that's that greatest thing about The Incredibles. Like, it was one of the earliest superhero films that was really, really, really good. Like leagues above anything that kind of came before, and even for a long time that came after, arguably still holds up to like any of the best today. But because it has that heart, because it has the character, and it's not focused just on the powers just supplement the human story underneath.
Well, and I've sung Brad Bird's praises many, many times on this podcast, and that's him who's directing it again, and that's a lot of people really wanted to see him directing Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
because like I mean,
it's a similar dynamic.
He already did it, right?
Yeah,
so it's
pretty
like
much, yeah.
And like to me, he's a great director. I want to see more stuff from him. I have yet to see a film of his where I haven't liked it, so it's one of those things of like, this is a no-brainer for me. He's one of my top directors. It's one of my top films. I don't know how much more I can say about The Incredibles. Like it's
They are incredible.
yeah, I need to go back and rewatch it. But I packed up all my movies. Not that I have like a bunch of streaming services that I could watch it on, but you know, let's just say.
no, definitely not.
Well, it's
Definitely not Disney Plus or anything. Pretty sure
well,
it's
like
not on there.
so right now I'm doing that marathon through the classic Disney movies, right? Through the animated Disney movies.
Sure.
And I've debated breaking it up with Pixar, like jumping into it and stuff like that.
Oh,
But I
not
feel
bad.
like
Bad
I
idea.
can't do that until I reach the era that Pixar
Shows
started
up
in.
in. Fair enough. Yeah,
And
no,
like
I
and
agree.
I'm
You gotta
only
stick to your. You gotta stick to it, man.
I'm at the tail
Just
end of
hold tight.
70s right now.
Hold tight, man. You can do it.
I got up to the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, apparently that came out in the late 70s, and I had no idea.
Who knew?
I thought it was well, I mean, probably
It
a
was
lot
a
of
90.
people.
We watched it in the 90s, right?
Every Disney movie's a 90s movie because that's when we watched it.
Yeah. Wait, I thought this came out in the 90s, man. That's wild. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, I'm pretty sure that came out in the 90s, bro. Dude,
Honestly,
you know how
it's-
long we'd have to do this podcast to get to that movie? Ever.
Man, no, I'm down. I'm down to talk about if we ever want to we can always just break off from doing random years of movies and just start talking about Disney movies. We could probably
We do that all the time.
if you wanted to do a deep dive series into Disney after the Star Wars series, we can do that.
I don't know, man.
We'll get
I
at
don't
least
know.
30 years out of this podcast. I could talk about Disney movies for far too long. Far
Days
too
and
long.
days and days.
How many times on this podcast has a Disney movie been my top pick?
I don't know. I haven't tracked.
I haven't. I'd be kind of curious to see, but I feel like it's honestly probably more than I'd think. But like again, they make just good stuff, especially Pixar. They just make great things.
Yeah, Disney was on Disney's been rolling pretty good the last decade and a bit here too. Like they've always made quality stuff, but lately
Well, and
it's just been on a higher level.
It's what I've been raised on too. So
That's
there's gonna
true,
be
yeah.
that sentimental connection is always gonna be there.
Yeah.
Like that's just. I was gonna say the unfortunate truth, but like, is that really unfortunate? Is that really a bad thing?
Maybe, who knows? We're yet to see the results of years of exposure. Decades upon decades of exposure.
Again, it's been 30 years of exposure for me, and I feel like I've turned out pretty well adjusted for a Disney kid, you know?
You're gonna murder Prosser first thing in a zombie apocalypse. It seems questionable at best.
I feel like Walt Disney would support that. I feel like he as the shrewd businessman that he was.
I feel like Mickey Mouse would probably just kill both you guys. Like he would just. I feel
I'll
like
save everybody.
I feel like a Mickey Mouse would turn into reality if there was a zombie apocalypse for no reason, but just that it would happen. Oh.
That's horrifying. That's actually terrifying.
It would be scary, right? I'd be like, well, I'm probably just gonna kill myself. Just call it a day. Like, well, that's it for me, guys.
Oh no! Now I just have images of Mickey Mouse pulling guns on people, and that's not good at all. That's not a good time at all, Matt.
Seems accurate.
What's your next pick?
For my second one, Incredibles was also on my list as well. I'll just point that out, I guess. My second one, I'm trying to decide.
It's a tough decision.
It is a tough one. Should we just talk about Spider-Man 2? Because that's
guess,
on my
yeah.
list, and it's right up there. I'm not sure if it is my second favorite, but it is right up there.
Do you feel like it is the strongest? Of that series.
Easily. I think it still probably is the strongest Spider-Man film, period. That we've gone from standalone Spider-Man films. I love the Tom Holland ones. I like the Andrew Garfield ones. But Spider-Man 2, because it really brought into that question in that choice that heroes have to make. Do I choose myself, my life, kind of the people around me? Do I choose to live normal? Do I choose to be the hero? Do I sacrifice? You know, does Peter Parker win and I not be Spider-Man, or do I be Spider-Man and Peter Parker continues to lose? Because that's one of the points you always brought up, right? You always say Spider-Man wins, but Peter Parker always loses, right? And it's in that
Yes.
film, it's the choice. Does that remain the same, or do I choose to have Peter Parker win? You know, like, so it becomes this really like identity crisis in the middle of this whole situation going on with like Doc Ock and stuff, and like he was great,
Well, I love
and
the
the fact that
dichotomy
he's
between him
coming
and Doc
back
Ock.
in Far From Home, or not Far From Home, No Way Home, is pretty exciting. Just the fact that Alfred Molina is coming back as Doc Ock, I'm like, that's pretty cool.
He was a good choice because it was something different than the versions that I had seen, but he really like nailed the character. It was just
Yeah.
also it was always bizarre to me the idea of like
Evil arms.
yeah, the arms being evil.
Yeah, that was a
always
little
messed me
odd.
up as a kid. But like it's so Sam Raimi. The more that I've watched Sam Raimi stuff and watched his older films,
You're like, oh, this
like
tracks.
oh, 100%, dude, like the whole operation scene where they're like suddenly get killed by the arms.
Hmm.
That's just straight up Evil Dead. Like literally chainsaw into the frame.
Yeah.
That's straight up Evil Dead Army of Darkness, and it's amazing. Um Me and Pross are actually planning to revisit those when we move into our new place.
Oh yeah, that'll be
That's
fun.
how we're gonna christen the new place, is to watch the first 3 Spider-Man movies,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I'm excited about. I like them. I haven't seen them in so long, and I do prefer the Andrew Garfield ones myself, just because like I like what they did with the characters, and like the character side is better. Some of the Spider-Man stuff gets a little weird, but the character work is more natural, I find, than whereas Sam Raimi's stuff is very dramatic, right?
Fair
Like
enough, sure.
it's
Yeah, it's more drenched in drama
in
than
a
just being kids,
over the
right?
top drama, but it
Yeah.
works because it works as a comic book film because that's technically what comic books are.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you're looking for more modern adaptations, Andrew Garfield is really good.
Sure.
And the Tom Holland ones are also good, but they're also super different from the other two guys.
Very different.
Like
Yeah.
it's connected universe is kind of the biggest change with Tom Holland stuff. Like that's
Well, and
that's
how that
where
whole
the
Marvel
real
universe affects him being Spider-Man, right? And
yeah.
the fact that his Spider-Man not necessarily is younger, but like he definitely seems less like a mature Spider-Man, right? Like even though Andrew Garfield in the first one was still in high school, he was probably, I think, grade 10 supposed to be roughly.
No, he was a. I want to say he was a senior.
No, because he graduated in the second one, right? At the beginning of the second one, he graduated high school, right?
Yeah, and I want to say that
And then that first one probably took place, what? Do you think it took place 2 years in between, or like a year or less?
well, I want to say it was either a year or the beginning of the school year.
Oh, of that same year.
Yeah.
Oh, it could have been. I don't track the time. But like he was definitely older. And in Sam Raimi's, obviously Peter Parker graduated at the beginning of the film, pretty much, right? Like really
Yeah.
early on. So this
Well,
is a
that's-
much younger Spider-Man. This is like grade 9. He's
like-
just a kid. Like, and it's very evident that he's just a kid.
Well, and that's where for me, like I feel like it was a missed opportunity and I'd be curious to see it. I would love to see it at some point. Is not having an older Spider-Man interacting with the Avengers, because at the end of the day, like it would be a weird mix of like, yes, I'm older and more experienced, but I'm still like the least experienced out of everybody here.
Yeah.
Right? It would be an interesting dichotomy, but I think what they did with Tom Holland, I think is still good. It's not my favorite, but it's still really well done.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Sam
Like,
Raimi
and I
ones-
like
the Sam Raimi ones are always going to have a soft spot in my heart.
Yeah,
because
they're like the ones we went to
that's
when
what
we
I
were
grew up
kids,
with.
though, right? Like that's the
Like-
thing, man. That's the thing. Like those were the first Spider-Man films we'd seen, like live action. That was the
they
real deal.
scared me so good too. Like they were pretty scary.
They had moments of being pretty creepy. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. So, I still think the second one, though, just like in general, like as a film itself, is probably still the strongest one. Like I really like the other ones and what they've done in the MCU, like I said, and Andrew Garfield's, but I don't know. I didn't. Maybe it's just nostalgia. Um, Maybe if I watched it like tomorrow, I'd be like, never mind, just never mind. But like how I remember it, how I feel about it, it's like, yeah, I really like those other ones, but there is some about it, man. I don't know.
Well, it's another again. It's one of those movies that's on my list because I would watch it on repeat over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was just one of the big ones.
100%. What's the next one on your list?
Let's talk about. I mentioned it, so let's talk about Shrek 2.
Oh, okay.
I feel like Shrek 2 is probably what I would consider to be the perfect sequel. Like it perfectly encapsulates everything that a sequel should and would be. It's not great standalone, but it can be watched on its own. Like,
Fair enough. I get what you're saying. Okay, yeah.
and it adds to the universe. It doesn't take things away. It's still the writing's just as strong. The comedy is just as strong. I can't think of a better sequel to a franchise or to a movie than Shrek 2.
I liked Shrek 2. I like.
'Cause I'd say it's as strong as the first one, if not stronger at some points.
I like Shrek 2 did not really work for me that well.
Well, Matt, I guess it's the end of the podcast. Everyone have
If
a
I like if I'm thinking about correctly, or maybe I'm thinking about the wrong Shrek movie. Like I've watched so many, like, and it's been a long time
Wait,
since I've
which
gone
one do you
back
think
to
is Shrek 2?
Well, isn't Shrek 2 is when they go to the king? But then, yeah, they go
Yes,
to the
where they go to
kingdom
the
far, far
kingdom.
away, right? Is
Yeah,
that
and
the
then
one where
Prince
he turns
Charming
into
and
the person?
yeah, it turns into sexy Shrek. Yeah,
Yeah. It was
yeah,
hit and
man.
miss for me. Like there were some moments I really liked. I don't think like I didn't like the kingdom of far, far away. I think there was a whole aspect there that I didn't really care for.
I love that,
Um,
Matt. I can't be
Dude, there
friends
was
with
just
you
like
anymore.
I don't know, man. I'm sorry. It just
I
hit
am
me. It just hit
betrayed.
me different, and it just like I still really like the movie. It's on my list. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it's not on my list. I just don't think it's like
What's
the
a better sequel than
greatest
Shrek
sequel.
2 then?
I don't know off the top of my head. Like,
That's because there isn't one.
I don't know off the top of my head. Okay, you can't just like say things. Name me this off the top of your head here. I already have my answer. Where's your answer, smartass?
Yeah,
Like
come
you
on.
can't just pull it out of thin
Yes,
air.
I
Like,
can.
listen, I have a
I'm
planned
hosting the
answer. I
show.
prepared this for 5 years. Where's your answer off the top of your head? Like I
I
can't just
didn't
pull
plan
things
this at
off the top of
all.
my head and just give you an answer. And I don't want to give you a poor answer either. Maybe Empire Strikes Back. There you go. You're welcome. But what I'm saying is,
Because
like I just
here's the
overall
counter to
like
that.
as a film, like I'm not saying it's a bad sequel. I'm just saying, and when you kind of mention the standalone aspect, that makes sense to me because like just as a film itself, I'm like, it was okay, it was all right. I preferred the first one better, and I think I didn't mind the third one. I think the third one was okay. Honestly, I don't remember. I didn't like the fourth one though. I was like, oh, that's not very good.
The third
And
and the
was
fourth
there
one
a
were okay,
fifth
whereas
one?
like
Did a fifth one happen or no?
no, there's like holiday specials, and I know they're teasing a fifth one, and they're teasing a reboot, and all that. It's weird.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
weird and confusing.
It just felt like there was like a billion of it. Almost felt like Land Before Time for like, you know what I mean? For a long time. It's like, how many of those are there? 35 or some crap. But like, I don't, like, just as a film itself, I don't know. Like, I just don't know if it was the characters. Like, I just think some of the characters didn't work for me, or I didn't like them, or I didn't like the feel of Far, Far Away, or like maybe the dad. I was like, that guy's a dickhead. I just don't, like, I don't know.
But he learns his lesson.
Yeah, I like honestly, dude, I couldn't pinpoint it and say this is why. I just remember the first time watching it being like, yeah, that was okay. Maybe it didn't have enough
Friends with you
donkey in it.
anymore.
Maybe that was the problem. I don't know.
He is pretty well throughout the
I
entire
don't,
movie.
dude, honestly, I can't even tell you. Like, if you're looking for a reason, I don't have one. I'm just giving you what I remember off the top of my head. Now, if we watched them again today, I may completely change my mind,
I
right?
think you need to revisit
Like-
Shrek 1 and 2.
Like these, well, I love one. I love one.
Well, 1's a classic.
Exactly. But yeah, I just
But-
don't
and that's why
remember
to me
liking
it's-
two as much.
Well, that's where to me I think like because I would consider 2 to be on par with 1. Like, and that's how good of a sequel it is. And most of the time sequels aren't better. right?
Yeah.
Like for the most part, it's actually funny because like on my list, there's Spider-Man 2, which I would consider better than the first one. Shrek 2, which I would consider at least on par with the first one, if not better. Scooby-Doo 2, which honestly I really enjoy Scooby-Doo 2 compared to
I
the
do
first
not
movie. Like
remember it. No, I don't remember that one.
both are really good in my opinion. And then Chronicles of Riddick is another sequel.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
And like you've never seen Chronicles of Riddick?
No.
Oh my goodness. I think you would enjoy them. It's like Vin Diesel before family.
Yeah, I'm like,
Like
I'm not the biggest Vin Diesel fan, like in general, but yeah.
Chronicles of Riddick is a series I wish he would have done more with, and he's tried apparently, but like because they did. There's Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick, and then just Riddick.
Oh, okay.
And I've enjoyed all three movies, but Chronicles of Riddick was like starting this weird fantasy thing,
Yeah.
and then Riddick just went back to Pitch Black's survival horror roots, and it's like,
Oh,
no,
okay.
I want to do the weird science fiction high fantasy.
Like,
Keep going. This is cool.
Why are we going back?
Yes, overall, I still think Shrek 2 is a really, really, really good sequel, and I think the reason why, to me, it holds up as a better sequel than Empire necessarily. Empire, you still need the trilogy to finish off that whole thing. You still need Return. Whereas
Fair
Shrek,
enough.
I can watch Shrek 1 and Shrek 2 and ignore any other movie that takes place afterwards because that's good. Yeah, good. Story's over.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily make a good sequel or not. That's just,
I think it makes
as
it
in part, I
stronger.
think that's part of just a good film in general. And depending how you're building it, right? Like with Shreks, I'm sure they didn't know if they're going to ever make the next one, right? So you kind of have to just finish your story, dude. Like,
Well, I think we can also agree Shrek is a movie that didn't need any sequels.
I think we can agree that, yeah.
But the first one we got was a gem. What about you? What's your next
Well,
pick,
I'm not going to
Matt?
take it away from you. So I'm going to go in a completely different direction because I did a comedy. I did a superhero one. Now I'm going to go with one that I honestly just watched just by chance. Like 3-4 nights ago, maybe just a little over a week ago. I don't even know what day it is anymore or what's going on.
It's Wednesday? No, Thursday.
It's Thursday. Good, nice job. Anyway, I don't
That's my
really
life,
remember
Matt.
exactly when I watched this, but one day, but it was very, very recently, and that's The Terminal with Tom Hanks, which is pretty much like Castaway in an airport. Like it was absolutely. Have you seen that film or no? No,
It's been on my list for years, so I haven't seen it though.
I remember seeing it back in 2004, or at least sometime when I was younger, but I didn't care because a guy being stuck in the airport is an interesting entertainment to a 13-year-old in
And
general.
then you
It's
become
like,
an adult.
I'm gonna go play some Halo, guys. I'll see you later, you know.
That's
I'm gonna
a
go play
Spielberg
some
film, isn't
Halo
it?
2. You know, that came out in 2004, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Spielberg film, so it's
It
been
is
on my
Spielberg,
list
yeah.
because it's me. It's a Spielberg film. It's automatically on my list.
Yeah.
It's on my radar. I just haven't watched it yet because I'm a bad fan. I'm a terrible fan.
So I'll just give you like quick breakdown. Won't like give away any spoilers or anything like that, but it's a really charming film, a lot of heart. Again, a very human story. But Tom Hanks is playing this character who's coming from Croatia, right? And he can't really speak English at all when he gets there, like just very, very limited. And while he's in the air, his country goes into civil war and the government is sacked. So then when he lands, they can't deny him entry into the US because he's a member of an unrecognized country until the country reorganizes and then the US can recognize his passport, but they also can't send him back because the country is accepting no flights. So he's literally fallen in this loophole of he can't go into America, but he also can't fly home.
Leave.
Yeah. So it's about this whole thing, and like this whole thing takes place till his country figures their shit out. But like he meets different people, builds these different relationships with the different people who work there. But you see him like learning English and learning how people do things in America, and Like he runs out of it, he loses his food stamps, so he starts collecting carts so he can put them away and get the change for them, and uses them to buy Burger King. You know, it's just like stuff like that. And as the story goes, like it just goes further and further. And I don't remember exactly how long he's there for, but it's a good amount of time that he's stuck at this airport. But yeah, like it's just I just watched it. It's freaking like it has a lot of funny moments, has a lot of heart, and just the scenarios he gets himself into and how he figures out how to literally survive like in an airport. Like it's literally Castaway in an airport. Like he's just stuck there. So it was good. It was a lot of fun. And what was the other thing I was gonna say? I was gonna say, oh, Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci, I think that
Oh,
one.
Stanley Tucci's amazing in
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Like,
He
that
was
guy, like,
he's in that one. So
like you want to talk about highlight of Hunger Games with Stanley Tucci, and he's barely in that movie.
yeah,
But he's the highlight of it.
yeah.
Honestly, the 2000s is kind of where I'm still catching up with Spielberg, because like I've seen most of his films from his beginning of career to like the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But like I just saw Catch Me If You Can like last year, I think, or the year before. I still haven't seen Minority Report, Artificial Intelligence, Munich,
Right.
War Horse, Lincoln, Bridge of Spies, BFG, The Post. Like there a lot of his newer stuff I've never seen. So like the Terminal is on my radar and on my list. I just have yet to actually watch it.
Fair enough.
But man, I love him as a filmmaker. He's just so good.
He is.
What a guy. What a guy.
He is. And we've talked about him like tons of times on here, but yeah.
Well, I think favorite director. I want to say I think I said he was my favorite director. I don't know. There was an episode we did about favorite directors, and I want to say that I said him.
Fair enough.
But I could be wrong, because I don't know nothing.
Nothing.
Because I luckily have my looks and amazing personality.
And that's about it.
That's where it begins and ends.
Anyway, what's your third one?
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is a loaded freaking question, because Matt, my list is like 17 movies long. I'm really torn. I'm torn between two.
Okay.
Because I want to address a bunch of them just because like most of these are ones again I grew up and I watched on repeat. Okay, I'm torn between three now. Because we got in the same year we got Shaun of the Dead, Saw, and Van Helsing. And like two of those changed the genre in my opinion. Like Shaun of the Dead really definitely started that whole Edgar Wright's type of comedy kind of getting into the mainstream, because I think it was Shaun of the Dead, then we got Hot Fuzz the next year. And like Shaun of the Dead's just a fantastic zombie movie, but just fantastic comedy as well. Saw completely shifted the horror genre from where it was going from being super goofy and stuff to being a gritty. It's really serious. Funny. The Saw franchise is bizarre because it was started off as this more serious, gritty take on horror.
And it's actually like ridiculous.
It got absolutely ridiculous. It went absolutely crazy. But I stand by that first one as just a really solid psychological thriller horror film. Like, it's not over the top gory. It's not super crazy with the traps. It's very basic. And it works. It works so well as just like this on your edge of your seat, tension building horror movie.
Fair enough.
And then there's Van Helsing. And I don't know about you, but I love Van Helsing. I don't think it's a great movie, but it is one of the most fun movies that I have ever watched in my entire life, and I revisit it pretty regularly. Because it is absolutely ridiculous, and it is just so fun and super underrated, I feel. It takes everything I love with Universal monster movies, does a unique spin on that too, brings them together into this cohesive universe.
Yeah.
And just like, it has a sort of magic to it. It is very cheesy. It is not great. It's not an amazing piece of cinema, but I think it is very...
You love it.
I love it. And I think a lot of people just unnecessarily crap on it, especially when you look at the time period it came out. Again, That one came out at the height of like Underworld and Resident Evil.
Right.
Also, Hellboy is very similar in tone to it, which came out the same year. I'd even say Chronicles of Riddick is a very similar tone. I, Robot would be a similar tone. AVP would be a similar tone. Like, if you look at these action horror movies that came out all around the same time, they have a very specific tone. Van Helsing also got to have that gothic horror element, though, that all those other ones didn't, because all the other ones took place very much in, like, modern times. Although every one of them, like, a lot of the ones I listed definitely had their hands. Like, Hellboy definitely had their hands in gothic horror as well. I think a lot of that also comes down to the soundtracks for a lot of these movies that also had random nu metal or Evanescence tracks in them.
Right.
But Van Helsing felt very, very different. The soundtrack to Van Helsing is also tight. Like, it's Alan Silvestri, and it's just super, 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 super good. Like, if you haven't listened to it, give it a listen. No, man, I like it. It's fun. It's a fun movie. It's not a smart movie by any means, but I think it is fun. And it did a way better job creating a dark universe than Universal has been able to try and do since.
Right. It was, I don't know. I didn't really like it that much. It didn't do that much for me. But I'm
13-year-old
glad you
Ethan
enjoyed
loved
it.
it.
I'm glad you loved it. But it's also right up your alley too, like because that's
100%.
just your whole. That's part of your whole thing, man.
Well, and again, if you look at most of my list, it's like you think about 13-year-old me, and you look at this list, and you're like, yeah, okay, these are all movies that he just loved as child Ethan. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect sense.
like this tracks. This tracks.
How about for you, Matt? Did you go first?
I went first, so we're 3-3. We just roll through our list here.
Is it time to blast through the list?
Time to blast through the rest. You want me to
You
go
wanna go
first?
first?
Do you want
You wanna go first?
Me first? You, me, him,
I don't know.
you.
No, we'll read it at the same time and
Yeah, we'll just see
if people understand it.
You can pick out what you like. Okay, yeah, I'll go first. So yeah, these ones, I kind of did like my first like kind of three. I think those are my favorite ones, but these ones are also pretty good here. 50 First Dates, Adam Sandler. Like that's a classic one. That one's pretty funny. Starsky and Hutch reboot. I remember that being pretty funny. I don't know if it holds up today.
Never seen it.
But it had Snoop Dogg in it, Owen Wilson, another Ben Stiller. It was,
Oh, wow.
it had potential. Wow. And Snoop Dogg. Loki's pretty good too. It's a pretty good series. Started watching that.
I'm still on the fence. I've only seen the first episode.
Oh yeah,
so
the second one it
I
picks
haven't
up.
haven't formulated my decision.
The second one picks up a little bit. Anyway, Man on Fire is that Denzel Washington one. Savage.
Couldn't get into it.
Pretty good. Troy, which is like super long, but I have no idea how I had the page. Oh no, we had to watch it. We were watching it. We watched it at a youth event actually. That's why I was like, how did I have a patience to sit and watch this movie, man? Because it's like usually when you're 13, man, you're like, okay, if this like let's get moving here, because it is a slow burn, that film, right? Till you get kind of close to the middle or the end of the film. Like it's a slow burn film. Yeah, but I had to watch it at an event, so I had nowhere to go, so whatever. But I liked it in the end.
11-year-old or 12-year-old me got that movie pitched to him by one of the actors in it. Because, so my dad knew Tyler Mane. He played Sabretooth in the X-Men movies because he's from
right. You
Saskatchewan.
mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, and he used to be a wrestler and then became an actor. And so my dad got him on the phone with me. And, like, this guy is, like, we're talking to him, and I'm like, oh, man, this is super cool. Like, this is Sabretooth. And he's like, yeah, and you can check me out my upcoming movie called Troy. Yeah, and my dad knew what it was about. He had kind of an idea of what it was, and he's like, he might be a little too young to see this, like, 14A, almost rated R movie. He probably won't see it for a few years.
Yeah. Bunch of people getting chopped up.
But yeah, I got a movie pitched to me by a movie star when I was a child, so I think that's pretty cool.
Don't know if that's fully a pitch, but okay.
Hey, he was trying to sell me to go see. He was trying to sell a ticket to me. And that was still pretty cool.
Yeah, okay, that is pretty cool.
Let me have this win, Matt.
Okay, I'll give you half a point. How's that? Better than nothing. I think it's pretty generous.
I think it's
Also,
pretty rude.
The Day After Tomorrow, like that one, because you throw me in
I
any,
love that
you throw
one.
me in any disaster movie, I'm like, I'm down. Like this is
Dude,
fun.
that's another one to me that has the same tone and feel as Van Helsing. Again, like it's a weird 2004 has a weird tone,
Yeah,
but
it
it
has a
just
lot of
carries
different
over.
strange ones. Yeah, that's for sure. Napoleon Dynamite's on my list, and I talked about this before. Like the first time I watched it, hated it. Second time, busta gut so hard. Like I think it's just the stupidity of it just makes
Seeing
me
the
laugh
reverse
so
happen
hard.
to me.
Yeah, you thought it was funny
Loved
the
it,
first
and
time,
then I
and then you
kept
hate.
watching it, and it's just like this is
That's
the
so
worst
funny how
movie in
that
the
movie
world.
just switches, hey? Like it's like you either love it or hate it, but then also you're probably done both at some point in your life. Like it was such a ridiculous film. Anchorman, Legend of Ron Burgundy. Love that one. That was kind of like that and Dodgeball were kind of competing because I really love Anchorman. That one's very very funny, especially when he kicks like when Jack Black kicks his dog off the bridge. Like that is some
Oh,
seriously
I forgot
funny
about
shit.
that.
And he's like, no, his dog, man. Oh, that's great.
And like honestly, out of Will
And the
Ferrell
whole
films,
crew, man. Like, because you got Paul Rudd in there, you got Steve Carell, you
yeah,
got what's his face, man? He always plays those country hick
we
guys.
know who he is.
You know who I'm talking about?
It's Packer.
Packer. Yeah,
Packard.
exactly. Yeah, the Pac Man from
Yeah.
The Office.
Um.
But like that whole crew's in there, and then like even that news studio like alley fight or whatever.
Yeah.
Like when all the different news studios are coming in, like that was
And
just
then they blew that up in the
great.
sequel.
Yeah, like Steve Carell's just running around with a grenade, like like just holding it, and
I
and
think
then
he
when they
killed a man.
yeah, I think he might have killed a man. I like loud noises.
Is that the one where he gets the trident, or is it
Yeah,
the
that's the
grenade?
trident one. I think because that's what he killed, right? Because he just whips his
He has the
trident.
trident?
Just like, it's just the randomest movie when they start singing "Afternoon Delight" like a cappella. Like it was just like there's just so many moments like that come in, and it
No, and
was
like
just so funny. I loved Anchorman.
out of Will Ferrell's films that I've watched over the years, that was the first one that I watched and I really enjoyed the first time I saw it.
Yeah,
And then Step Brothers would probably be the second one because like I didn't see that until recently.
yeah.
where I
Step
started
Brothers is pretty
appreciating
damn
stuff.
great. Yeah.
But like no, like that's one I really like.
What else is in here that's worth talking about? Incredibles. I Robot was okay. I don't fully remember it, but I was like, the robots were
a-
kind of creepy. I was kind of down with that.
That's another 13-year-old.
That feels like a Van Helsing. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh, dude,
type.
yeah, no,
Right
I
in
watched
that,
that on,
right in the alley.
on
Yeah.
repeat.
Yeah.
You got Will Ferrell. You got
I was
Will
like,
Smith.
Will Ferrell. I don't remember
Imagine.
Will Ferrell in that movie.
Shia LaBeouf was in it very briefly.
Was he? Yeah, I
as,
don't remember.
yeah, he's Will Smith's like sidekick character.
Oh,
And then Alan Tudyk plays the robot.
I
Plays
did
Sonny.
not know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
go
cool.
back, dude. If you go back and watch it, you can't unhear it now. Like
Oh, damn. Now I'm going to have to go watch it again.
it's really fun. It's really weird, but it works. It works really well. I don't know how well it ages, but like
I'll have to go
it's
check
fun.
it out.
It was on my list as well.
What else I have in there? National Treasure. Did I say that already?
Yeah,
those
you know,
are
Prosser's
classics.
never seen National Treasure 1 or 2. He's never
Dude,
seen
those are
either.
classics, man. Like you
And
gotta at
he's a
least
Nick
watch
Cage
them.
fan.
Yeah.
Like
That's
man, I
odd.
feel like
How can
isn't
you be
this,
a
like-
Nick Cage fan and not have seen National Treasure?
I like this podcast has become like a weekly thing of like Prosser has not seen this very well known movie.
We're just like, God damn it, Prosser.
And you haven't seen one, and it's like it's fine, it's whatever. But,
But
like
Prosser, we're
hasn't
just
seen
like,
one.
oh
my goodness.
my God. Oh, I had
made
a
him
weird
watch
hiccup
Cars and-
there. Sorry.
I made him watch Cars, and he finally understood why we were talking about
Oh
Cars.
yeah,
He's like,
good
oh,
call.
okay, yeah, it was good. It was good. It was a good movie.
it was a good movie, guys. It was a
Like,
good
but
movie.
again, how do you go? How do you go like 15 years of your life not seeing Cars?
Exactly. That's a good question.
Bizarre to me. I mean,
It's weird.
Probably the same as he's gone 17 years without seeing National Treasure.
It's weird, man.
It is. Again, he's a Nick Cage like fanboy. Like he loves Nick Cage.
Odd as hell.
I know.
Last one on my list is not a good movie, but I really enjoy it, and that was Blade Trinity. Like like as a movie itself is like just not good, but goddamn,
It's
like
so weird,
Wesley Snipes in a leather jacket with a sword hanging out with Ryan Reynolds as he lips off vampires and like gets his ass kicked a bunch is just like money, man.
Oh yeah.
It works for me. I eat it up. And then you also have Purcell, what's his name? Who plays
Dominic Purcell.
Dominic Purcell. Yeah, yeah. That was the first time I saw him in a film too. That was like
then,
it's
Jessica
not
Biel as well.
Yeah, like it's not a good movie. Like it's nowhere near the same level as the first two Blade films.
It's still fun.
But it was a lot of fun. And if you love that kind of thing, then you're down. Like I was down. I was like, yeah. Yeah.
Down like a clown, Charlie Brown.
Down like a clown, Charlie Brown, man.
I still say that to this day.
Down like a clown, Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown. Thanks, Matt. That's your fault.
You're welcome. Anyway, that's pretty much my list. Oh, and The Girl Next Door, which was like this hilarious one where I first saw Timothy Olyphant, and it was pretty much about like, you know, the porn industry and guys from high school and this chick. It was very adult film. Why I watched it when I was 13, no idea, but it was pretty dope
because
when I was
you were
13.
a hormonal 13 boy and Alicia Cuthbert was in it and she was hot.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It worked.
Dude,
I was like, yeah, this is a great movie, man.
That is a movie that I bought.
But it's actually a pretty funny film.
Oh yeah.
Like it's it, as a film itself, it's not terrible. But
I bought it when
there was definitely reasons when you were younger. Like when I was a kid.
I bought it when I was like 14.
So funny.
I bought it when I was about 14 or 15. But I was so scared to watch it because I thought it was just going to be essentially porn.
Yeah.
I was so scared to watch. I didn't watch it until I think I went to college. And then I finally watched it and I'm like, "Oh, this is not really tame."
Yeah,
like
100%, man. It wasn't
like,
actually
okay,
that bad. It was just
like, okay, this is not the worst thing I've watched for movies. Like, this is okay.
It's like the tamest you could be with having the porn industry in your film. Like,
right?
Like literally, like nothing about it. Like, but yeah.
But
anyway,
14-year-old me was like, yes, I'm going to own a film that is meant for people not my age. And then I didn't watch it until I was...
And this chick's a babe.
Well, because I grew up, I had a massive celebrity crush on her for years. Because, like, do you remember the show Popular Mechanics for Kids? Yeah, she was the host of that.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know.
Her and Jay Baruchel, he was the other host, and it just wrinkles my brain.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it?
Because I like look at him, I'm like, oh, Hiccup hosted PMK with Alicia Cuthbert. Okay, all right. And that was one of my Saturday morning shows.
Yeah.
Every morning I would wake up and I would watch Popular Mechanics for Kids.
Yeah.
Like, it was super educational. It was a great show. Loved it. It was so good. But
we all start somewhere, right? Yeah.
So I grew up having a crush on her from that, and then
you're like, whoa,
she just got more and more. She got more and more beautiful as she went on, and it was just the crush continued.
Like honestly, my favorite character in the film was like Timothy Olyphant. There, like he played kind of like her manager guy, and he was a huge dick. But I was like, man, this guy's hilarious. Like that was the first time I've seen him in a film, and then I hadn't seen him for so many years, honestly, until probably recently he started popping up in damn near everything, and damn right, like he's a good performer, a good actor. It's great.
He shows up in The Mandalorian.
If you don't know who I talk about, yeah, he was the fake Boba Fett kind of guy. First episode, season 2, but like he's in tons of stuff now.
No, and he's always kind of been on my radar. He's been one of those, oh hey, it's that guy. I know Prosper's a big fan of him too. Yeah, like we'll just be talking randomly and like, oh yeah,
Santa Clarita Diet. He's like really funny in that one.
Live Free and Die Hard.
Yeah, Live Free, Die Hard. Yeah. Well, he was in Hitman too. He was one of the, like talking about not great video game movies, but
yep. Well, he's in The Office as well.
He is in The Office. Yep. He's not. He doesn't play a big role. He just comes in every once in a while.
No, I think his real big break that a lot of people know him from is Justified. That's the one that a lot of people know. Mm-hmm. Which I haven't watched yet, but I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah. What about your list there?
Euro Trip. I really enjoy Euro Trip. It's another one of those dumb dumb teenage comedy movies.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever see that one or no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's another. It's again,
Those
it's another
goofy
really
ones,
dumb
yeah.
one, but I absolutely enjoyed it. Scooby Doo 2, I mentioned Hellboy. Shaun of the Dead, Punisher. The Thomas Jane Punisher came out this year, and that was really, really. It's a fun adaptation of Punisher, probably one of the best ones. Super Size Me came out that year. And we actually watched it in class, and everyone was really grossed out by it. And then there's me being like, I really
Then
want
you're just like, is
McDonald's
it
now.
weird that I really want to eat more McDonald's?
No, and that's the thing. And me and my friends went to McDonald's for
Yeah,
lunch
you're
that
just
day.
like, well, this documentary clearly gave me the wrong message.
This did not work at all, and look at me now.
Yeah.
King Arthur. I really enjoyed the adaptation of
I
King
never saw
Arthur.
that one.
The kind of more. It's interesting because it's grounded, it's realistic. There's not really any mysticism to it at all, but the characters are interesting. Great cast. Like, I'd say check it out for sure. AVP. Gotta love Alien versus Predator. I mean, you don't have to. It was again 13-year-old me
Eat
loved
it up,
it.
man.
As I've gotten older and explored that franchise even more. Yeah, no, like it's not one of the best movies. It's better than AVPR. It's better than Requiem, which is not a good movie. Shark Tale is also on my list, and Shark Tale is I feel another really solid animated movie that people just don't really talk about.
Fair enough.
Team America: World Police. Nothing. No.
No,
Have
I've
you
seen it.
Team
Yeah.
America?
It was just like
I'll take that one
it
down.
was almost like beyond me sometimes. So I was like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Like, and
See,
here's
and
my
that's-
reaction to like really dumb things, because generally I am inclined to enjoy really dumb things.
Yeah.
But sometimes as soon as like it goes over that boundary or goes too far, I'm like, I'm out, man. Like there's a limit for me. And I think with that film and Napoleon Dynamite 2, the first time when I watched it, it passed that limit, right?
Yeah.
If I watch Team America World Police now or a second time, because I only watched it the one time and I was like, stupid. No, thank you. If I watched it the
How old were
second
you?
time, probably like 14 at that time, because I didn't watch it that year it came
Okay.
out, but it was short. It wasn't too long
But
after.
you watched it pretty
yeah.
close after.
But I never did watch it a second time. Maybe if I watched it the second time, it would have the same Napoleon effect where I'd be like, this is freaking hilarious. Like once you kind of accept that level, like, because I think sometimes that's what it is. It's like you just have like your own built-in level of what kind of stupidity you'll accept. And if it exceeds that, you're like horrendous, terrible. But then if you go
That
into
explains why I accept a lot of
the
things.
second time and you know it's already that level, so you like there's that level of stupidity that you're accepting now because you're watching it that second time. That's my own theory on it, how that works, but
Well, and it worked for me on two levels, and one of them was I didn't watch it until college. Like I didn't watch it until I was older.
yeah.
So like it wasn't really a huge leap for me. It was basically like, okay, I already know what this movie is going into it. And the second one is growing up, there was that TV show, like the TV show Thunderbirds with the marionettes and stuff like that I loved. I loved that as a kid. Because I loved everything when I was a kid. I just watched too much
enjoyed
TV.
it
I
all.
realized-
She's like, I love everything.
I watch when I think about the amount of media that I have actually ingested over the last 30 years, it kind of terrifies me.
Yeah.
But Thunderbirds was a big one for me that I really enjoyed. So like as a parody of that, it also really worked for me. So it kind of worked for me on two fronts, and I thought it was just really funny and I think as an adult, I think you should revisit it. It is a really stupid movie, but it reminds me a lot of your humor, genuinely.
like, you're just
some
like,
of the stuff,
I
some
can
of the
see
jokes.
that laughing at this.
If you look at Quantum of Snowflakes and you look at Team America,
It's not
it's
too
very
far off,
similar. Not at all. Like not in
Yeah.
the slightest. Like it surprises me how much you haven't seen Team America.
Like I watched it once and I was like, I'm good. I'm out, man. Like, yeah. And I think that's what it is. Like, I just think that movie went beyond my levels of stupidity that I was okay to allow it for that watch through. Again, maybe if
And
I
then
watch
3
it
years
again,
later, man.
maybe it'll be hilarious.
3 years later, the stuff you were coming up with just right from there. Last movie on my list, I've talked about it before, I'm pretty sure, but the SpongeBob movie.
Oh
came out
yeah,
that
you've
year,
talked
and
about
just
it. Yeah,
solid,
good old SpongeBob.
solid flick. Can't go wrong with it. That is my list for 2004. I think it's a
It
pretty
was
solid
yeah,
list.
like and a pretty like
Like
solid year overall.
13-year-old me had a good year in
Yeah.
2004 for movies. I can't speak on my personal life because I don't remember a lot of it.
And the funniest, like, and the like the best part as we go deeper into the years, it's funny to see how the different decades and the cultures influence the films that we're watching and stuff like that, and how they evolve and change. And it's kind of like you said, those early 2000s, late 90s, just like some of the kookiness and stuff that went on. It's like now we're starting to dig into that as well.
Do you find that you've seen more movies the further back we go, or do you think you've
Probably
watched less?
less. Um, well, obviously, the further back we go, there's gonna be more younger first people films, right? How many of the adult
True.
ones have actually like revisited, like Terminal, right? Great film, really enjoyed it. I'm like, I know it's not like the biggest hit ever. I don't really remember how well it's been received by everyone else, but I personally watching it just like a week ago, I enjoyed it. I was like, man, it's pretty good, man. It's not a bad film. I thought it was worse, but
Why don't
but
people
like,
talk about this
but
movie?
that's when when you're watching those things at 13, it's like I pieced out halfway through because I was like, I don't care about a guy in it. Like it was on at home, so I just went and played Halo 2 because that was infinitely more interesting than watching a
Yeah.
guy in a terminal. So like when you're younger, you just don't care about some of those films. Like you're all like Van Helsing, Blade Trinity, F yeah, you know, Terminal, a human story with emotion and like and deep character moments. Like
Characters.
I'm out of here,
Ooh.
bro. Yeah, that's how it was, man. The naivete of youngness. And that's what we'll be saying about ourselves when we're like 60. God damn, when we were 30, we are stupid as hell. God damn morons.
We didn't have
They don't
any
even
taste
know
in
what
movies
movies
back
were
then.
good. Yeah.
What do you mean you watch
Damn
movies?
fools. Damn fools.
So Matt, you got a question of the day for us?
Yeah, I do. And this is actually just a little sneak peek into next week's episode.
Oh, Matt, what if we don't talk about your question next week's episode?
I'm pretty sure we will because
What if we change our minute
will.
last or change
change
our
our
minute
minute
mind?
last mind. What if we change our minute last mind? Well, what if we are?
Well-
what if we lose the ability to speak? Because that seems to be the direction both of us might be heading tonight.
Well, guys, next week's episode will feature only Matt talking to himself like a crazy person. Like a crazy porky pig.
That's all, folks. Okay.
Don't
question
say
of the
that;
day.
they're gonna stop listening.
Question. They weren't even listening up to this point. They left when we were talking about Prosser 5 minutes in.
This is also true.
Question of the day. What game would you like to see as a movie? And this doesn't have to be a video game because next week is all about video game films. It could be board games, any type of game, or any like Lego. I would consider a game of sorts. You know what I mean? Like because it's more interactive and stuff like
Well,
that.
like that's the
But
thing is
is there
the
anything you
first-
would like to see made into a film that you'd be like, dude, that would make a dope movie?
Honestly, I don't honestly don't think so because I think most of the ones that I would like to see have been done. Because the thing is, I as an Uncharted fan, I didn't really want to see an Uncharted movie, but like I accept that it's happening.
It's happening.
The Lego movie happened, and the first one was great, so I don't that's kind of off my list too. And Lego Batman was also great, so that's off my list. Clue is a phenomenal movie, and based off the board game, so like that one is like board games are off my list, like because like how would you do Game of Life the movie, or Monopoly the movie, or Sorry the movie, or Trouble the movie?
Well, that's a good question. Like, how would you do Lego the movie, right? Like, until it's actually done, that's kind of the question.
Trouble is like this psychological thriller where like these kids are all sitting, they have to like basically they're playing Trouble, but anytime that they like something they land on something wrong, they have to finish the game,
Yeah.
or else like the room closes in, or a trap lays off, or like one of them gets killed. Like you could totally do like a Saw-esque movie with Trouble. I don't know if I'd want to see that because I would just be laughing
Yeah.
too hard the entire time. 'Cause
Fair
that just
enough.
sounds like the dumbest concept
Fair
in the
enough.
world. This kind of ties into probably some opinions I might have next time. I would really like to see a good adaptation of Mario.
Fair enough.
Like, I think that would be. I'm trying to think of video games that I play. I don't play a lot, but Mario is one that deserves a good adaptation. I think animated would be fine. I don't think I need a live action adaptation. Because we've seen how that turns out. But a good animated Mario movie, I think, would be kind of dope. Honestly, one of the most underrated things that no one talks about is the DK had a animated TV show.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
and no one
I
talks about
remember
it.
that.
Though. It was
It
really
wasn't
fun.
terrible
It was
at all.
really
Like, it was at least back from those days. I don't. God, that's got to be going back, eh?
Sonic. I think Sonic has proven to be the most adaptable because they've adapted Sonic how many different times?
Yeah.
There's been at least three or four different shows, if not more.
Oh yeah, the TV shows like the cartoons and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the movie, which actually wasn't terrible. I actually really
that's
enjoyed
the
it.
word on the street. Haven't seen it.
It was good. It was a good time.
It's watchable.
But yeah, I think because that's the thing is like now it's to a point where they're actually adapting things and not doing a terrible job.
They're getting better, step by step, for sure.
How about you, Matt?
The funniest thing is, it's like I was gonna say stuff, and then I was like, "Oh wait, they actually are." Like every one I started thinking about, like, "Oh wait, no, I think they are doing that. I think they are." So honestly, I don't even have an answer to my own damn question now. I'm thinking about, I'm like, son of a bitch.
Well, it's like cause that's the thing is I can't really think of like.
I was like, yeah, man, because a lot of the big popular ones, they're definitely going for. There's either movies coming out or TV series, and we'll get into that too next week a little bit more, like what's kind of coming down the chain here.
The pipeline.
Yeah, exactly.
The horror game Until Dawn would also be a really good movie adaptation.
I feel like
that one's really
isn't
fun.
that a movie already? Isn't there an Until Dawn movie? No.
If there is, then I am unaware of it. But like the game is pretty much you play through a movie, but you get to play as each individual character. And like the cool thing with the game is you get to choose who you get to choose. You try to make everyone survive.
Is that a board game, or are you talking about the video game? Yeah,
it's a video game.
Yeah, I know which game you're talking about now. Yeah.
Did you played it?
No, but I've seen it, like, because it's only on PlayStation, and I've been thinking about buying it. The last little while, and really... that studio has put out like an anthology now of like horror games in the same type of style. So I really want to play them because it looks like just a stupid fun time.
It is, dude. I was doing really well, and I had basically everybody living, and I was on the very last level. I made one mistake, and I killed everybody. Half of the... Yes,
you're like
everyone else had like made it. I think maybe I killed off one character who like had to die. But then, like, and I'm like, no, but I can get everyone out. I can get everyone out. And I hit a button too soon and blew everybody up. And I'm like, I went from, like, 8 characters to 3.
Like, oh. Like, wow, I didn't.
And everyone's like, what did you do? And I'm like, I panicked. I was doing so well.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, like, something like that would be
that's the kind of game it is, man.
That'd be an interesting film. I think for me, like the one that I want to see, no, they're doing, I think, TV series of that or something, or a movie.
Would you want to see an actual like good adaptation of Halo, or do you think that's gonna be?
Well, they're making the TV series because that was one of my answers, right? Then I was like, never mind, that's going to Paramount Plus. I think there's a TV series for Paramount Plus. But let's just say, okay, it's coming or whatever, but let's just say, yeah, that's something I would like to see. But again, done well. And it's hard, like, and it's tough, like, and we'll get into why video games are a little bit tougher to move into a different medium. And kind of depending on the game, right? But adaptations, I think, even from books to film is tough, and from comics to films, obviously challenging. Until recently they started cracking the code, and video games are getting closer. They're still not quite there yet, though. But yeah, like the biggest one, honestly, is I think Halo's a big one, and I'd probably say like Mass Effect would be pretty sick too. But again, I think they're working on a movie like that or a TV series. It's hard to know. There's a lot of rumors out
Well,
there.
I'm assuming
Sorry, this was a
Assassin's.
crappy question, man, because it's like all the things I was thinking about every time I'm like, wait, no, I think actually something's happening.
Well, I'm assuming like Assassin's Creed is probably another one that you'd like to see them actually tackle properly.
And that's getting a Netflix series. So like it's like everything I think about off the top of my head is like, oh, that's already. Oh no, here we go. Horizon. That's what I was thinking of before. And I
Like
totally
Horizon
forgot
Zero
about it.
Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
I still need to play that one.
Dude, super good. It's probably not my favorite of the PlayStation exclusives, but that's still saying a lot because the PlayStation exclusives are like top tier caliber storytelling video games. Like
Oh, is
just
God of War getting a series at all?
phenomenal. Yeah, it is. They're talking about a God of War series too on the list there because that's another one that I was thinking about. And I was like, Last of Us. Last of Us is getting a series.
It is. It's
With
filming
Pedro Pascal. He's pretty much playing the Mandalorian, but in a zombie
and
apocalypse.
it's
type
filming
thing.
in Alberta.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a chance I might get to work on it at some point.
Dude, if you do, you gotta invite me down, man. I'd be so groovy.
I don't
Can I
get
be can I be a zombie
I
guy?
don't get to work on it in that aspect. I just get to stand if I do work, it's like I get to stand there with a sign. Like that's
You don't
That's-
think you could make my buddy a zombie?
and that's how I never work in the industry.
And
Thanks-
infected?
thanks,
Yeah,
Matt.
exactly.
Before
Thanks,
I even
Matt.
start.
Thanks, Matt. Just get you fired right away. But no, because Horizon Zero Dawn too is really interesting. Like it's, I don't want to kind of explain and get into it all, but like what really makes it very dynamic is it's a world filled with
Isn't it like technology and
machines.
it's like technology and prehistory kind of rolled into one?
Yeah, it's very much like that. Like humanity's kind of at a tribal level, but but instead of like giant dinosaurs or animals roaming, they're machines.
It's like
and
if the
it's
Dinobots
very cool.
were around cavemen.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. And they're like all super high tech, and then you're like, I got a good old bow and arrow. This will work. Like, and the combat in
And
the
it
game's
does.
incredible, but the story itself is very interesting, and I think that would make a great series or film. But yeah, no, that's my answer. I totally forgot about that one. I was going through all my PlayStation ones and Xbox ones, and I totally forgot by the time it was my turn. Horizon Zero Dawn. Hell yeah. All right. Yeah, I think that's probably it for
That's-
this episode.
That's your question. That's your answer. It's terrible, Matt. Do better next time. How dare
Sorry.
you?
I totally forgot. I was like, this is terrible. I forgot my
You
answer.
gave a. How could you forget your answer? That's almost as bad as forgetting your question, which is something I've never done before.
Yeah, both are pretty bad, eh? It's like, man.
Glad I've never done either.
Yeah.
Glad I totally didn't forget
Never.
2 questions of the day that I came
Never.
up with this week.
Never did that.
Anyway, yeah, that wraps up another episode of A Feast of Films. Where can the good people find you at?
You can find me at places that are very important and that are different than what I previously have said. You can find me at Twitter. And this is a new Twitter handle now. So hold on to your hats, people. Storytellers for Life is dead. Don't go there. I'm not going back.
So
I'm like I might go back every once in a while,
So
but
storytellers for a
primarily.
short while?
yeah, no, still for life. It's just I'm not gonna tweet about it every day.
Okay.
You know? Yeah, I'm not gonna tweet about it. And well, basically the biggest thing there was like the time investment, and how much time I actually have, and how
Yeah.
much time it takes to turn around, make videos and stuff. And then realizing, okay, well I'm spending a lot of time talking about stories, but it's eating up all my time to actually write stories.
Yeah.
So it kind of became I'm like, oh, this is why there's not a lot of channels out here like this, because it takes too goddamn long to actually turn it back around. But you can find me Twitter at GK Radio Man. And that's for my new podcast because it's much easier and quicker to turn around. Gaming Night Radio, where we celebrate the best of gaming and call out the worst. with news, reviews,
And,
comments,
and
opinions,
a couple of
everything.
dudes.
Yeah. With your grumpiest old man host. That's me. Just grumpy ass old man. It's a fun time, actually. I just started just before E3 here, and I covered E3. So every day there was something. I was putting out a podcast every day, and I did one tonight for the Xbox presentation. So this is literally the second podcast I'm recording. Like I've just been talking since like
Matt's just
4 o'clock.
tired.
Like it's just long. But yeah, you can find it anywhere you can find podcast, except Apple, probably, because
One day
they're just being dicks about it.
they
So,
take time.
But apparently one of my like analytics was like, yeah, no, someone from Apple's like listen to this. I'm like, really? Because I'm pretty sure I'm not even like signed up on Apple, but I don't know. And I don't have an iPhone, so I can't go check if it's on there. But anyway, where can the good people find you, Ethan? It's a great podcast. Come on by, guys. We have a lot of fun.
You can find me at my usual hangouts, Ethan R. Hill on Instagram, Ethan R. Hill on YouTube, and you can also find mine and Prosser's feature film, Damned Rights, on realhouse.org. I don't post a lot. I should probably post more, but I don't because I am just too busy stressing about life. I'm too anxious to post about things.
Listen, if you're anxious, you don't need more Twitter. That's all I know.
Twitter, I don't use. I have it, but I never use it. That's why I don't say to find me on it, because you're not going to see me tweet anything.
Yeah.
Instagram, you get a couple posts here and there. That's basically every
That's
month
what
or
you
so.
get. Yeah.
Every month to 6 months, I'm like, I should post a picture. How do I work this newfangled technology?
And then you just smile like, hmm.
No, it's always pictures. Mostly, it's pictures of records. That's what you'll see is pictures of records.
So if you're into that, come on down.
Yeah. And where I'm filming stuff, I'll post stuff too. But currently, I'm not in the middle of filming anything, so there's not a lot I can post about.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where you can find me. That's where you can find Matt. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of A Feast of Films. I am Ethan R. Hill, and with me, as always, is...
Jesse Browser.
Jesse Browser.
Jesse Browser.
Where is he?
Matt Ayalew.
All right, we'll see you all next week. Have a great week, everybody.
So long.
Bye-bye.
Toodaloo.
Yay.